Late one evening, my phone rang. It was my buddy Max. The urgency in his voice was unmistakable, shaky and strained. The second I heard him, I knew something wasn't right. He pleaded with me to come meet him, so I didn't waste a second. I called out to my wife, let's call her Rachel, telling her I'd be back in a few minutes. Then I rushed downstairs. Max was already outside, pacing back and forth with a cigarette clenched between his fingers. When I reached him, he blurted out the reason for his panic. He had just discovered that his wife had been cheating on him. He was completely lost and didn't know what to do. I hesitated. Man, I don't know if I'm the best person to ask. I said, I've never been through that. Maybe you just need to let her go. Find yourself someone solid. Someone like my wife. Oddly enough, that seemed to bring him some peace. He calmed down a bit, stopped obsessing over getting her back, and began talking about moving forward with his life. A few days later, a long weekend was coming up. It was around Veterans Day, so most of us had some time off. My friends called early in the morning and pitched the idea of spending the break at a rented cabin with a steam room. It sounded like the perfect guy's retreat. That night, I told Rachel about the plan. She didn't seem to mind at all, told me to enjoy myself, and gave no indication that she had a problem with it. The next day, Max came by to pick me up, and we headed out to stock up. We probably overdid it. Bags of food, cases of beer, the works. We were clearly planning to settle in for a long, wild night. The following morning, 5 of us loaded into a car and hit the road. We'd all been friends since we were kids, so the conversation was easy and nonstop. Before we knew it, the sun had dipped behind the trees, and we were well on our way to getting drunk. Everyone planned to stay the night. There were plenty of extra rooms, and no one seemed eager to get home. That part surprised me, honestly. Most of the guys were married, yet none of them showed any rush to get back to their wives. Meanwhile, I started missing Rachel more than I expected. At some point, maybe out of boredom or just that creeping sense of loneliness, I picked up my phone and gave her a call. She didn't answer. I tried again, still nothing. A third call went unanswered. I started to feel a little uneasy. Maybe she was annoyed with me for leaving, especially since we'd been trying for years to have a baby without success. We hadn't considered IVF. We just kept hoping it would happen on its own. I decided to slow down on the drinking, just in case. Eventually, she picked up. She said she'd been cooking and hadn't heard the phone ring. That checked out. She always made something special. When I came back from a trip, she sounded cheerful and asked what time I'd be home. I told her around midnight, and she seemed genuinely happy about it. After we hung up, I felt better. Later that night, I stepped into the steam room where my friends were loudly talking. I closed the door behind me and sat down, trying to follow their conversation. They were tossing around ridiculous ideas on how to test their wives' loyalty. I laughed and told them I'd never done anything like that. I trusted Rachel completely. They didn't take that well. They cracked up, calling me naive, insisting that women couldn't be trusted and that a man should always be watching. I shrugged it off and told them to keep their paranoid crap to themselves. They didn't stop, though. Kept pushing, telling me to at least check Rachel's phone once in a while. But I'd never even thought about going through her stuff. Their cynicism killed the mood for me. I decided to cut the trip short and head home early. They tried to talk me into staying, but I had told Rachel I'd be back, and I meant it. They gave me a half-decent goodbye, and I caught a cab. On the way home, their words kept echoing in my mind. I hated how much doubt they had planted. Was that really how they saw love? Was that normal for them? When I finally walked through the door, Rachel lit up. She ran into my arms like she hadn't seen me in weeks, smiling from ear to ear, and right then I thought, no way. There's no chance she's cheating. The smile on her face seemed too real to be a lie. We ended up in the bedroom almost immediately, and after an intense night together, she fell asleep on my shoulder. I stayed awake, staring at her, my mind spinning. Should I check her phone? Was that insane? But the doubt wouldn't let go. Eventually, I gave in. Just a quick glance. She wouldn't even notice. I gently reached over the nightstand, picked up her phone, and started browsing. That's when I spotted an unfamiliar app. My heart began to race. My palms were slick with sweat. I opened it and felt like I'd been punched in the gut. It was a dating app, and Rachel had a full profile under a fake username. And it wasn't just an inactive account. Her inbox was full. She had been chatting with all kinds of people. And the messages were explicit. Undeniable proof she'd been cheating. Not just once. Not with just one person. This had been going on for a while. Then I saw messages from earlier that very day. I felt like I might vomit. I stumbled out of the bedroom, gasping for air, my body shaking. Fueled by rage, I started grabbing her clothes, tossing everything into suitcases. By the time the sun started to rise, her bags were packed and lined up by the door. I went back to wake her. She stretched, smiling, trying to curl up next to me again, but I shoved her away and told her to leave. At first she looked confused, then tried to play innocent, until I held her phone up, her face drained of color. Then came the lies. She claimed it was a friend's account, that her friend had used her phone. The way she could spin a story so easily made me sick. Just hours earlier, I was lying there thinking I was a lucky one, and all along she had been living a double life. I dragged her out of bed and pointed her to the door where her bags waited. She started crying, begging me to listen, pleading for forgiveness. But I was finished. I shouted at her, venting years of betrayal and heartbreak. Eventually, she stopped trying and walked out, tears streaming down her face. Once she was gone, a strange emptiness settled over me, like my world had just imploded. But underneath it all, I couldn't deny the truth. My friends had been right about her. I wandered around aimlessly until my phone rang. It was Rachel's mom, screaming profanities at me. I hung up without a word, not my problem anymore. The weeks that followed were rough, but work and my friends kept me going. I was worried they'd make fun of me for falling for her lies, but they actually rallied around me. A few of them even tried to set me up with women they knew through their wives, but I wasn't ready. I dodged the setups as politely as I could. Then, out of nowhere, Rachel called. She said she was pregnant. I laughed bitterly, thinking it was a ploy, but she insisted the baby was mine. I had once dreamed of having a child with her, but not like this, not under these circumstances. I didn't know what to say. We barely spoke again for the rest of her pregnancy. About 8 months later, I finally reached out, offered my support, said I'd step up if the child was mine. She told me not to bother. She had already found someone else to be the father. All I said was, "Thanks for being honest." That was the last time we ever spoke. Months passed. On New Year's Eve, my buddies and I hit a lively restaurant for a celebration. The place was buzzing, music, dancing contests, lights everywhere. A group of dancers dressed as sexy Santa's helpers burst onto floor, full of energy and charm. After their performance, I went over to talk to them. They were playful, laughing, unsure at first, but eventually they joined our table. My friends couldn't stop teasing me, and we all partied hard into the night. Everything blurred as the hours passed. The next morning, I woke up in bed, not alone. The two dancers were curled up beside me. I let out a quiet laugh, closed my eyes again, and thought, maybe life's not so bad after all.